Matthew chapter 15. Okay, starting with verse 29. Jesus went on from there and walked beside the Sea of Galilee, and he went up on the mountain and sat down there. Sat down on the mountain. And great crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the blind, the crippled, the mute, and many others, and he put them at his feet, and he healed them, so that the crowd wondered or marveled. And when they saw the mute speaking, the crippled healthy, the lame walking, and the blind seeing, and they glorified the God of Israel. All of these, I would imagine, most of these were some mixture of Jews and Gentiles. Well, they would have been a mixture of Jews and Gentiles if they were Gentiles that came from the region of the Sea of Galilee by the Decapolis, as well as Jews, because the religious leaders were spying on him.
Because they were looking for ways to trap him at any given time.
Yes. Then Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion on the crowd because they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. And I am unwilling to send them away, lest they faint on the way. Because, let me rephrase that. I am unwilling to send them away hungry, lest they faint on the way. And the disciples said to him, where are we going to get enough bread in such a desolate place to feed so great a crowd?
Gee, I wonder, you're talking to the King of the universe.
And you just witnessed, a couple chapters earlier, the feeding of the 5,000. And Jesus said to them, verse 34, how many loaves do you have? They said 7, and a few small fish. Fractal of 7. There you go. And directing the crowd to sit on the ground, he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and having given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the crowds. And they all ate and were satisfied.
Satisfied. They ate a full meal.
Grown men,
They
women,
did not have a morsel.
children, all 10 of their children, because these are Orthodox Jews. So 4,000 families.
Wait, they have to have children?
Orthodox Jews are going to have boatloads of children.
And each child has a pit for
10.
a stomach.
10. Yeah. Teenagers. How much can a teenager eat?
Not very much.
So 10 kids per family. So 4,000 times 12. 48,000 people. That's the size of a small city. Correct? It's the size of Stark, Florida. Well, Stark, Florida is 5,000, but so yeah, you get the point.
There's a place in Florida called Stark.
Yes, I
Where
grew up
he
there.
was born.
No, that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
So, and they all ate and were satisfied, and they took up 7 baskets full of the broken pieces left over. Those who ate were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And some of those women were probably pregnant with their 9th or 11th kid.
Not every family already had their 10 kids. Some of them might have had just a couple, but still.
Yes.
Yeah, some maybe have like 1 or 2.
And after sending away the crowds, he got into the boat and went into the region of Magadan. So, gang, again, are you capable of looking around, and I'm going to hammer this point, and seeing the resources that are available? When you are not entertained, when you're bored out of your skull, can you make do with what is around you? Can you make something happen? Can you imagine? Can you entertain yourself? Can you care for yourself? Can you walk with others? Can you say, hey, I know what we can do here to solve this problem? Regardless of what the problem is, can you look around and find ways to solve it? I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, you will be able to.
And there's also the principle of, you you may not have the full amount of resource that you feel like you need. Or even if the Lord's given you something and told you to do it, yet he hasn't given you everything you think you need to accomplish it, he may have given you raw materials that he's wanting you to put together, and to lean into him to say, okay, I've got this bit of material for this big a job. help me to put it together or apply the principles properly so that it has the right multiplication factor for what's needed.
Yes.
He's not going to leave us without resources, but it's going to look like it because, again, it's that whole expectation thing. We have an expectation that he's going to provide for us in a finished fashion that's complete, and his expectation is we're going to look at the things around us and go, okay, what do I have to work with, and how can I apply principles to make it do what I need it to do? So because he's trying to grow us into sons.
We move past begging him for a finished product or a finished revival, where he just shows up and sweeps things into the kingdom. And the hand of God fell, and he showed up, and we had church. No. God did not amputate his hand and drop it onto the ground. No. He's saying, take your eyeballs, look around, partner with me. I want some partners. We're his family. We are responsible for protecting the heart of God, for stewarding that heart connection.
And growing the kingdom.
When he has an issue, when he has a problem, can he come to us and we hold his heart in our hands and we partner with him and love on him? His problem often, frequently, is lack of intimacy, lack of connection. When was the last time you had a lack of connection with somebody that you wanted a deeper connection with? Now you understand the heart of God. Congratulations. What can we give him? Not that he needs anything. What can we give him? He needs a connection. He didn't create us just so he could stand back and say, yes, you go run and play, I don't need anything. No, he's a father. A father may not need the connection with their son, but they yearn for it daily. Or their daughter, daily.
It's true. His heart is ever for us to turn to him. It's true.
So we might not be able to give him something in the terms of a finished product or a good or whatever the case. Although with the 10 minas and the 5 minas, they gave him the finished product of doubled minas, and he gave them in return. He traded them the minas for cities to manage. How many of you want to be the mayor of 10 cities at the same time, all with their divergent problems?
Not me.
At some point, you could be responsible for that.
I'll do it if that's what he wants for me.
If there are 5 cities, then you need to figure out how to sync them together so that ministry can happen more effectively in the city. It's virtually the same dynamic. If politically you're responsible for a state, if you become governor of a state, you're responsible for multiple cities. I want you 3 aware. There are things that you can give him that he does need, he longs for, because he is Father. When he has a problem, who does he get to talk to? I sure hope it's us. We're his family. Jesus is the firstborn of many brethren, meaning Jesus is our brother. So then, we get the opportunity to connect with our Father the way Jesus connected with him. And we get to have conversations with him like a father would have a conversation with their kid in their workshop. I'm going to teach you about this tool over here today, or this trade, or this skill. Teach you how to code this on the computer. Teach you how to use this skill, work as an electrician, as a plumber, as a carpenter, as a builder, a janitor, a maintenance man, a jack of all trades, a master of none, a writer, a teacher, a professor, a lawyer, a doctor, a businessman. All kinds of things. But he wants to connect with us because he likes to connect.
I'd like to add.
Go ahead.
That the child mindset, so I'm going to challenge the child mindset, or even the poverty spirit in some regards, okay? There are people in your life right now that, God wants to love on and reach, and the connection for Him to reach them is you.
Yeah.
There are people in your life that that need Him, that are going through stuff, that are hurting, or that are angry, or that are being, in a bad situation, and you're gonna get people in your path that need the encouragement. So if you're a light to them, or an encouragement to them, or a joy to them, or whatever it is that you can be to them, you can be His hands and feet.
Yes.
There's no other way for Him. He doesn't have anyone else to use to get to them except you. And so think about the people and the situations in your life, and how you can be a powerful influence. If you see, and obviously by design, that's going to be a little easier for you, a mercy. It's easier for you to look at somebody and identify, oh, that person's hurting, and be moved with compassion. So you almost have to be challenged to make sure that you're checking with the Lord, going, is this somebody you have for me to minister to, or, watch your boundaries and stuff, or you'll pour out more than you need to.
She can tell you about that being a
Yeah.
servant, because servants and mercies.
Yeah, are very similar in that regard. Where you two have got to make a little more effort to see someone around you, not as a resource for you, but what can you do to be a resource for them? Because both of you are kind of bent a little more toward, well, what's in it for me? But we, I was so impressed with what you said yesterday about that group in the new church and bringing Fern. Because that Fern is going through her own series of things, and the things that she's struggling with, and you want to help her, and even though she goes to a Christian school and may or may not have a Christian family, or whatever her situation is, because I don't know, she may only be tuned into receiving something you have to offer her. And so realizing that you're going through your own hard time, the Lord, it can also say, even though you're going through a hard time, if you can extend and minister to Fern to bring her closer to the love of God, or let it be a peer that points her to the Lord rather than just a teacher or a parent.
Let me bring you to an expert who can fix your problem, whereas you may actually have the tool to help her work through some of that stuff.
So it's really important for you guys you've got hope and life inside of you that you can share with others in an appropriate fashion, and look for ways to do that. Let's not just look at other people for what's in it for me, and let's think, relate to God, talk to God, build that intimacy with God by going, okay, Lord, what do you have for me today? Mm-hmm. We're not training you for what does God have for you when you turn 18 or turn 19 or turn 25 or whatever magic number you think your life becomes your own. That's not the point.
Your magical number your life became your own at the magical age of 10. Oh, wait a minute. Which means your life is already.
And you don't have control over every aspect of your life, but you have a lot more control over the people and the circumstances, your thoughts, your actions, your building for the kingdom. You've got work to do now, is my point. There is things that God has for you now. Not when you're older, not when you're in ministry, not when you're an adult, not when you live on your own, now. And that's something you guys need to understand. Your life isn't just about school and playing a game and sleeping and doing chores. You need to break out of the self-focus into the kingdom focus of, what does God have for me now, here, today? Serious. Yeah.
How many weekends do I take the 4 of y'all with me, and we go and do something that involves a hike or a mountain or a zoo or connection? And why? Because there are so many things that you can pick up when you're doing that, when you're slogging through stuff. I hate hiking. I hated hiking when I was a kid. Hated it. I hated being with my dad. I hated the fact that my parents were divorced. I hated the fact that I got, my dad 4 weeks out of the year, my mother the other 48. I hated that. Followed by abusive marriages both ways, or multiple marriages both ways, or multiple relationships both ways. I take you on those things because there are going to be certain things that you will only be able to unpack in your kids in the context of that. And for those of you that are designed to work in nature with animals, in part, it can only be unpacked in the context of a mountain slope or a woods. You know, little $5 present. Yeah, this is one of my favorite presents that I've ever received in my entire life. I like wearing little things like this. I'll probably end up collecting more of these. More little pins from state parks and national parks and whatnot. And it was a $5 present. It's one of my favorites.
Papa, just have them all around your neck.
Yes.
Get a vest and go.
But you get the point? You get what I'm saying? Some of y'all got this capacity to work in nature with wildlife, and you kick at the pricks, the goads. You kick against the goads. What's an ox goad? You know what an ox goad is? Who knows what an ox goad is?
An ox.
An ox goad. Remember kicking the knife?
An ox mixed with a goat.
No.
Do you remember how it's hard for thee to kick against the pricks? What's a prick?
Oh yeah, a prick is the thing you stick in the horse and the bull to make it move.
Correct. And when you're kicking against that, it's like kicking a knife, trying to make it go. It doesn't work too well. So when I take you to do things that you don't like, it's because I'm unpacking things in you that you're made for. We're looking at design. For me, it's about helping you see your design, watching the light bulb come on so you can run after it. So that you don't wait 20 years to unpack and figure out, what am I supposed to do when I grow up? You already know. Isaac's in part. Isaac's about 60% there with knowing precisely what he is. He knows some things that he likes. He's going to end up constructing a job or a career or something like that that fits him 100%. So, anyway, gang, that's it. Those are some thoughts. Feeding the 4,000, unpacking, looking for resources, connecting with the Father. Be blessed. We love you guys. Bye-bye.